The year was 1939. John Steinbeck's novel, The Grapes of Wrath, hit bookstores. Theatergoers witnessed the premiere of The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind. And one of St. Petersburg's favorite spring training heroes, Lou Gehrig, was inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame. In 1939, the world was still suffering from the Great Depression that began nearly a decade earlier. The birth of World War II was underway as Germany invaded Poland. And as the 1930s came to a close in St. Petersburg, our city had 40,425 residents. City Council was comprised of 6 men, including the mayor and councilman, Ian Boyer, who was elected in 1939. Nearly 40 parks spanned 200,000 acres, laying the groundwork for what would become one of the most expansive park systems of any city in North America. There were 13,578 telephones in service, 2 banks, and 1 trust company. National Airlines was flying from the city's municipal airport. There were 2 daily newspapers and 1 weekly newspaper and 9 public theaters. 9,200 students were enrolled in 2 senior high schools, 4 junior high schools, and 6 parochial schools, taught by 292 teachers. The city had 1 public library. The St. Petersburg Police was led by Police Chief E.D. Vaughn, with 56 men serving and 9 radio patrol cars operating from 2 stations. The fire department, led by Fire Chief Claude Nesbitt, had 48 men and 5 stations. There were 1,275 miles of city streets. Only 300 miles of them were paved. And electric streetcars traveled over 30 miles of railway. The city was led by a city manager at the time by the name of Glenn Leland, who was challenged to find a new home for city operations. He hoped it would have a great impact on the morale of the community struggling from the Great Depression. The original City Hall was located on the northeast corner of 4th Street and 1st Avenue South. The building was dilapidated, and city workers feared the walls would come crashing down at any time. The building was condemned, forcing city officials to find a new home. City Hall was constructed under a Public Works Administration grant, made possible by one of President Roosevelt's New Deal programs. PWA grants were meant to help improve services such as utilities. So in order to get funding, leaders called the new structure the Municipal Utilities Building. Construction cost around $400,000, with about 45% coming from federal funds. The selected architect, A. Lowther Forrest, moved to St. Petersburg in 1936, following a long and prestigious architectural career in the Northeast. Among the many buildings he designed is the Mocht Building, a Baltimore historic landmark, along with theaters and opera houses throughout the eastern seaboard. He designed City Hall at age 80, patterning it after the well-known Pan American Building in Washington, D.C. Forrest worked with local contractor Ari Clarson and city engineer Paul Jorgensen to complete the Mediterranean Revival-style building. Another grant under the Federal Arts Project paid for murals to decorate the new building. One painting, The Pier, still hangs in the main stairway. Another painting was removed in protest during the Civil Rights Movement. That spot is still bare to this day. The site for the new St. Petersburg City Hall was originally the location of the city's first school, constructed in 1893. Across the street was the St. Petersburg Junior College. The Manual Training School, the Princess Martha Hotel, and the First Baptist Church were all located near the new building. 2 popular gathering spots at the time were the shuffleboard courts and the Manhattan Casino. Most city services were housed in the new City Hall building. It was a gala event when the city dedicated City Hall on November 28, 1939. Alongside city officials were representatives from the President's Public Works Administration, along with state and national legislators. A crowd of 2,000 gathered in the street for speeches and celebrations. Serenaded by the Junior College Band and the radio station, WSUN broadcast the event, followed by tours of the new building. In 1999, the city spent $2.5 million to renovate and restore the Mediterranean Revival-style building to its original grandeur. Some of the areas that remain today as they were in 1939 are the elaborate domed ceilings in the first-floor hallway and the hand-painted beams of the council chamber ceiling. When City Hall reopened in 1999, It also contained many new artworks that were commissioned through the Public Arts Commission, including a glass sculpture by Susan Gott and paintings by John Briggs and Christopher Still. 75 years later, St. Petersburg City Hall still retains much of its original appearance and continues to serve the many residents of our great city. As the largest city in Pinellas County, St. Pete is home to just under 250,000 residents. Approximately 3,000 employees serve those residents in more than 30 departments. Serving as the city's nucleus and emanating from the walls of this venerable 75-year-old building, a city of excellence has emerged as St. Petersburg has become a sparkling diamond jewel on America's southern shores.
Good morning. I'm Jim Kennedy, City Council member for District 2 of the City of St. Petersburg. This morning we're celebrating the 75th anniversary of our City Hall. It was constructed in 1939 with a grant from the New Deal of the Public Works Program. And we are hopefully taking very good care of our building, which has not only the historic building but has historic artwork within it. So for all of the citizens of the City of St. Petersburg, happy anniversary to our City Hall.
St. Petersburg City Hall has been here for 75 years. It continues to be the focal point of the voice of the citizen of St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg has come through some very trying times and has burst into this new century with pizzazz. It is a wonderful place to live and work, and I think the next 75 years are going to be just as special.
Very excited to be here. This is a part of my legislative district that represents City Hall and parts of downtown St. Pete. The building has so much history in it. I'm just excited to be here and see the building and be a part of what's going on.
75 years young, yes indeed. A semi-sesquicentennial to be proud of. A brilliant sunshine day. The voters of St. Petersburg are out in droves. It's a wonderful occasion. Lots of bigwigs in government. Of course, none bigger than me, Mayor Councilman Ian Boyer.
We're so pleased that you all could be here. This is a fantastic celebration, such an important part of our city's story. We have a vision that we talk about honoring our past while we pursue our future. And so while we are here cutting this cake today, our mayor is in Chile on a trade mission. So we literally are living our vision. But thank you for being here with us, for celebrating with us, and making St. Petersburg such a wonderful place to live, work, and play.
1, 2, 3.
There we go.
We're in it.
Perfect.
Today's a special day. It's the city kicking off the holiday season, and good holiday, good cheer.
You'd never be able to tell it was December in our beautiful Sunshine City. Everybody's in shorts and short sleeves, and Santa's gonna come and his reindeer, and we're all gonna have a great time.
Good morning. It's great to be out here at the Santa Parade. It's an exciting day. I will be walking with the Reread program, which gives out books to young children and helps promote early literacy, which I strongly believe in, and Jody Davis is the founder of that program, and I'm excited to do that. And also excited to be out here wearing shorts in December. That's why I live in St. Petersburg. I love this city, and it's going to be a fun parade.
Well, we're out here to promote fire safety, to show the citizens of St. Petersburg that we have units like this available for them to, when we go on calls and try to, provide a service for them.
We're here December 6th for the annual Santa Parade. The department does have officers and certain units actually participating in the parade.